raise your hand if you decided to pick MTSU beating the ever-loving you-know-what out of Miami, and then leave your hand up.
See ya.
So we know who the liars in the room are. 98 yards for a touchdown. And just when you thought Miami was back, they're not. Oh, the chaos of college football, as we can only get you caught up on it right here like nobody else. It's a college football show presented by AT&T 5G. We got a new face on the couch. Sam Ravech hanging out. Skubie Mageza. I'm Jason Fitz. You know the drill. Every Saturday from 7 to 8 p.m., we're going to get you caught up on everything that happened. We're going to get you ready for what will happen tonight. Sam, welcome to the couch.
Thanks, Ravech. Yeah. No, it's great to be here. And by the way, I woke up this morning, walked outside. It smelled like football. Like, it's football time here, right? It certainly did. It's fall.
Yeah, it smells like fall, and it feels like fall. My hands were a little cold the other day, but man, what Middle Tennessee is doing to Miami is cold.
Oh, look at that. It's a professional segue. All right, we have a lot to get to, so we're going to start right out of the gates with a huge highlight from a game that lived up to the hype. Number 5 Clemson taking on number 21 Wake Forest in Winston-Salem. Huge Atlantic implications. We know that. The coaches all look like they might need to go poop. All right. That's a sort of professional analysis you only get here. Also, Sam Hartman, A.T. Perry. This was the theme. Sam Hartman, he's not good, he's great. And we get to overtime on this win.
Yeah.
DJ Uiagalelei, just because I like reminding everybody I do know how to say it.
You said that right.
That's perfect.
And he threw that right, too.
Yeah.
Great ball by Uiagalelei. Threw some amazing balls today. Probably the best game I've seen him play.
45-45, we're in double overtime, 3rd and 6. He gets too long. And then, boom, straight up box out, go up for it. It looked easy right there.
That's what tight ends do.
And now you got the chance for the answer. Hartman heaves it up. Not there on 4th and 6.
He made so many good decisions in this game.
Yeah.
I don't know what he saw on that play. But wow, 6 touchdown passes.
Right. There are 2 stories to this game, and it's all about offense, right? You see the numbers. DJ Uiagalelei, as was just referenced, 26-41, 371 with 5 touchdowns. Sam Hartman, 20-29, 337 and 6 touchdowns. And gentlemen, 2 overtimes, and this, like Sam, this game needed every ounce of those overtimes. Yeah. Wake, yet again, goes in with an opportunity to really show who they are, and they get this. They just can't get over the edge.
No, they can't. But, I mean, Sam Hartman was terrific today. I think if you're a Clemson fan, though, you're cautiously optimistic. You had 6 receivers go for 30-plus yards today, and a win's a win at the end of the day, right? And we were talking about, when you look at this Wake offense, is this the best offense they're going to see the rest of the way? Or is this a test for them going forward? Or is somebody else going to challenge them like Wake has this year, Scooby? I don't know.
The bright light for Clemson heading into this game has been their defense, especially the front that they have. However, in this game, their defense was exposed. They had 5 pass interference calls just heading into the 3rd quarter, and it was clear and evident that they just could not get a handle on these wide receivers. Sam Hartman, 6 touchdown passes. Every single one of those touchdown passes came off of a blitz. So what the Clemson defensive coordinator was doing was really leaving his DBs on an island. And when you think about the design of the Wake Forest offense, that delayed fake on the RPOs, it was really confusing those safeties, and you saw it throughout the game. So I do agree with you that this is probably the toughest offense that they'll see.
I have a straight-up man crush on Sam Hartman. I will admit it. Scooby and I have been talking about him, I feel like, for well over a year. You want to talk about a quarterback that dissects before the snap what he needs to do and then delivers a beautiful football in tight windows. It's Sam Hartman. And he did that again in this game. So on the one hand, I want to give Clemson's defense credit for being able to survive a quarterback and an offense that came to play. On the other hand, that's not good enough. I mean, part of this, the outcome of here is going to be judged based on our expectations. Clemson's expectation is national championships. Sure. That wasn't national championship caliber defense. Wake Forest is not judged in that same realm because, let's face it, as we all saw today, 62 straight losses versus AP top 10 teams. Wake never wins this game. So a heartbreaking way to lose, but a reminder that, like, we can look at this and say, man, Wake's almost there. But I'm also looking at Clemson saying, you got to show me more.
No question. My question to you guys is, seeing how DGA played today, do you feel as if he took a step forward within his game? Because he threw for 5 touchdown passes. The guy has never thrown for more than 2 in any game. And although, as I mentioned, the defense has been the bright light and they were the dark spot today, DJ stepped up and made some incredible throws to get them over that hump. So do you see this as being a step forward for him?
I think having to survive this test just gave them the most opportunity to learn about themselves on film that they will get all year. And there's power to that. In the meantime, there was power to Duke and Kansas. I can't believe I'm talking about a college football matchup, but I am. Daniel Highshaw about to take a short pass, turn around.
Watch this play.
And you know, Swiggity Swooty, he's going for the booty. Yeah, he wants that booty. You can't stop me from getting the booty that I rightfully deserve. Look at that play.
Are you talking about pirate booty or booty? Like, which booty we talking about here, Fitz?
After that touchdown, he can get whatever booty he wants. We're picking it back up. Kansas, I don't know if you've caught the memo, is explosive, and Jalen Daniels absolutely showed that today. They're up 28-13. Oh, look at that play, though. Duke staying in this one.
That would have been good on Sundays. I mean, this was a heck of a game for anybody that was watching it. Kansas, rank them, you cowards.
It was back and forth, and a sold-out Booth Memorial, too. By the way, can we get College Game Day to Larrytown? I mean, what's up with this?
Look, Lance Leipold has done not a good, but a great job with Kansas. Kansas is 4-0, and these two teams not only played a great game, but, gentlemen, they look like 2 good football teams. Like, I know that we've laughed all week about the fact that basketball powerhouses are undefeated in football, but if you ask me, Duke and Kansas, Scooby, they both played up to the expectation of what you expect when you have this sort of matchup. And my God, I'm going to say this till I'm blue in the face. Lance Leipold wants an offense where the most dynamic player is his quarterback, and he trusts that quarterback to make plays. It worked at Wisconsin Whitewater, it worked at Buffalo, and it is working at Kansas.
Couple things about Lance Leipold. One of my favorite coaches in the entire nation. So this guy at Whitewater, 6 out of 8 national championships. He goes to Buffalo and he turns over that program. He comes over to Kansas. The last 3 games last season, that was really promising, and they said this was huge momentum coming into this year. And then you see them this year. Let me read you a couple stats coming into this game, which is why Kansas should be ranked, you cowards. Coming into this game, they were 2nd in the nation in points per drive, 2nd in the nation in 3rd down conversions, and 1st in red zone touchdowns. Every time this offense gets the ball, they score, and it is because of what Jalen Daniels has been able to do. I don't know about you, but I think he's put himself in that conversation as like one of the best weapons in the country.
I think we have the tendency to sometimes overreact. But this is now a couple of weeks in a row where we've seen Jalen Daniels prove himself to be one of the best quarterbacks, not only in the Big 12, I would say the country. You could make an argument TCU has a great quarterback as well, but Jalen Daniels is the real deal.
Yeah, I'm watching Miami get their butts kicked and wondering why Kansas isn't ranked. All right, let's move to the next game. One team I thought would get their butts kicked, Kent State, and that's not a big hot take. But Georgia decided to sleepy time this one, maybe make it a little bit more like a ballad. Georgia comes out, fumbles the football. The score you're reading right there is not incorrect. 12-3. Kent State picks it up and says, you know what? You know what's fun?
To the crib.
I'm going to give you this little stat you don't need too early. Only 2 teams since 2021 have scored more than 20 on Georgia. Alabama and Kent State. Wow. Stetson Bennett, though, comes in and says, hey, what? A touchdown! And he gets it. They give it to him rightfully just for the effort. Kent State picking it up here. Down 29-13. Trying to roll out, trying to find somebody. Not there on 3rd and goal. That turned out to be a big stop, by the way, because Kent State, for a reason I will never understand when they were down in a close game, went for 3 instead of going for it on 4th and goal.
Why?
Kent State was in this game all the way till midway through the 4th quarter, 39-22. The score, Sam, was not as close. Was closer than it seems to me.
It really was. You really have to give the Golden Flashes a little bit of credit here. You're going into this game knowing exactly what it is, right? You know you're going to play the best team in the country right now in Georgia, and you're trying to put up a fight. And they put up a fight. I mean, what more can you ask for? But I'm with you. There were some questionable plays there the second half. They could have really made a difference.
Listen, Kent State, I know y'all don't see them as a perennial powerhouse program, but this is the team. This is the team. They've faced some tough teams this year. They've gone against number 18 Washington, number 6 Oklahoma, and now number 1 Georgia. So this is a team that's seen some competition. But to your point, man, Kent State.
If you're going to take my money, like if one of us at the couch may have decided to play the points on this one, if you're going to keep this thing close and rob me of my cash, at least be aggressive in the process. Like, that's what I'm like. At some point, you got to realize the situation. And maybe the situation is 4th and goal. You're thinking, I just want 3 points. I want to keep myself close. But it was already, even the field goal was still going to keep it a 2-possession game. I don't understand why at that point you don't say, let's just go for broke. We weren't supposed to be in this game anyway. And Sam, to the point that Skubie made, now if you're Kent State, you've had to play 3 really tough opponents. You've gotten your butts kicked. You've gone through all this for what? Like, stay aggressive.
No, I'm totally with you. But I would like to talk a little about Georgia and maybe the concern for Georgia here. I mean, look, you turned the ball over 3 times. I think there was a lot of hesitancy, certainly, maybe is the right word, in the red zone. They just couldn't seem to really punch it in. And the offense lacked what it usually does today.
I like what you said about punching it in, too, because there were some short yardage situations, Skubie, where, like, man-on-man, hat-on-hat, the bigger guy should win. And it didn't happen for Georgia in this game.
This could have been one of those situations where this is clearly Kent State's Super Bowl, right? And for Georgia, you're coming into this game like, oh, this is Kent State. You don't have nothing to worry about. And you're getting everything that this team can possibly toss at you, including the kitchen sink. But it's a good thing that Georgia has someone that goes by the name of Brock Bowers, because he's 19 years old. This guy would be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft had he come out this year. I think this Georgia team, it has so much talent that they were able to back that up. And I will kind of bypass this game as, you know, they slept on their opponent. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I think Georgia will prove that. From a team with a ton of talent in Georgia to 2 teams that don't have a ton of it. I'm throwing shade right out of the gate. Missouri at Auburn. We picked this one up. Tied at 14 in the 4th quarter, 1:43 on the clock. Tank Bigsby takes the handoff, but he doesn't get down to the first down marker. Turnover on downs gives Missouri the ball, and this is significant because Missouri has time. So they're driving, just over a minute left. Brady Cook steps back, fires one to Dominic Lovett, and he falls down with a beautiful catch. All right, that's an amazing catch. Sets up this easy game-winning. Oh, no. Not easy. 3 seconds left.
The thicker kicker misses it. 26 yards.
Mevis misses the kick. And so you think, okay, Auburn's going to take the lead here in overtime. Well, they do, but what you didn't see before that was an offsides that gave Auburn a second chance. Auburn missed the first kick. Then they get this one. So now Missouri gets the ball back. Overtime. They're going to score. They're going to win. No, they are not. This is a just heartbreaking moment where Nathaniel Pete is trying to get into the end zone, loses the ball at the 1-inch line. It rolls into the end zone where Auburn recovers it. Auburn gets the win 17-14 in a game that Missouri could have won at the end of regulation. In a game where Auburn missed the first winning kick in overtime but got a second chance because of a penalty. And then in a game where Missouri fumbles the ball into the end zone as they are trying to win it. This might be one of the most heartbreaking losses I have ever seen for a Missouri football team.
Forget about could have won. This is a game Missouri should have won, and they should have won it probably 3 or 4 times. This is one of those games where Auburn looks back and they're like, yeah, we won, we improve in SEC play. But at the end of the day, everybody in that stadium knew it. The coaches knew it. The sideline knew it. Missouri should have won that game, and they're going to be kicking themselves they did.
Yeah, Brian Harsin had his job on the line for this game had they lost, because everyone coming in was talking about which coaches are on the hot seat. Well, his was hot tamale, all right? Because
what's hotter than a hot tamale? Because it was hotter than that.
Okay, did you guys ever try the extra spicy hot tamales? So here's the thing. I used to love hot tamales, and one day I was eating them and I was like, wow, these are really hot. And then I realized that I don't like my candy hot anymore, so I went totally sweet. But the hot tamales, then they make the extra spicy hot tamales, and those are even hotter than the hot.
Well, he had the extra spicy,
then
but let's just say that.
I'm just saying, the extra spicy hot tamales will rip you apart. I don't know that this changes that, though. He didn't suddenly go to Mike and Ike's, because you don't struggle. Auburn is supposed to be closer in this trajectory to Alabama than they are to Missouri, and right now they aren't. So you can say what we want about the fact that they got this win. Here's the thing: win or lose, Auburn still sucks. And so the question is are you comfortable with a football team that's not any good?
No, this win almost feels like a loss.
Yeah.
And Sam, you brought that up multiple times when we were watching the game together, because we all watched this game together with about 8 TVs in a room, and you were just like, yo, this does not feel good if you're an Auburn fan. No. And with a win like this where the other team won, I don't know how you go back feeling confident.
I think the most concerning thing about the whole picture is Auburn had a 14-0 lead in the first quarter, and they didn't score again until overtime. I mean, they had so many opportunities to put this game out of reach. And Missouri, to their credit, I mean, they kept it close and made things interesting.
It's the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. Real quick, we'll let you know Washington State up on Oregon in the fourth quarter. Texas Tech have gone to overtime. Middle Tennessee looks like they're about to upset Miami if that holds. And Tennessee, Florida are in a back and forth. We're going to get you highlights from all of that. We will keep you caught up on all of the action going up. But one thing we got to do is get you ready for OHIO, Wisconsin, Ohio State.
In the Big Ten, the road to respect goes through Columbus, where a wall of sound and a sea of black drowns those who dare to enter.
Having a blackout here for a night game again.
It's one of the biggest advantages we got.
Touchdown, Buckeyes! Ohio State survives in overtime.
The Badgers know the score, but they never say never.
Dog climbing the hill is a lot hungrier than the dog on the top of the hill.
C.J. Stroud and the Buckeyes are looking strong, and there's talk of the playoff.
Stroud down the middle, touchdown!
Ohio State might make it to the national title game.
The Badgers mean to quiet the noise. Wisconsin, Ohio State, on Saturday Night Football.
Gentlemen, I will never forget the first time I played in that stadium and you screamed OH, obviously not on a football field, it was in a concert. And we screamed OH and the whole crowd screamed IO and the floor rumbled while they did it. Some places hit different. Columbus is one of them. Look at the All Blacks. What do we think? Sam, are we in on the All? Let's start with the important football context you can only get here. All Blacks, are we a fan?
If I'm an Ohio State fan, I am, because I'm 3-0 in them. So I guess if that's what you're looking for, then yes. We were talking about the alternate jerseys and kind of the realm that plays in college football today. And we were talking about the culture. And it depends, I think, on what school you're talking about. I think Ohio State, you got the scarlet and gray, right? I mean, that's what you go with. But
I think that's why Ohio State's interesting in this one, because like A.J. McCarron, that's with us all the time, he commented that Alabama doesn't ever change it up. Well,
correct.
I get that. School like UNLV that I root for, they change it up every week. They don't have history. Ohio State does have history, but then they go to the All Black. I think it's a nice little counter. Like, gives you an excuse to buy more gear, which I appreciate. All right, so the real question of this game, Scooby, becomes about defense for both sides, but particularly Ohio State. We said they were fixed defensively when they beat Notre Dame. Now we just figured out that Notre Dame's offense is a piling heap of trash.
Hot garbage?
So, garbage. So the question is Ohio State going to be right defensively?
Oh, man. I don't know. This is going to be one of their first true tests. In a way, you're starting your Big Ten play. And Grant Mertz he showed us the normal Grant Mertz we've seen against Washington, right? And the one that throws picks, the one that doesn't necessarily get this offense moving, but then he bounced back and they had a confidence builder in their last blowout cupcake game. So this Ohio State defense is going to have a test today, but my bigger question for this is the Ohio State offense ready to handle what this Wisconsin defense is going to bring? Because this is one of the stingiest defense that they're going to face. So my eyes on this game is this defense for Wisconsin versus Ohio State's offense.
Do we know what Trevion Henderson's deal is? Is he good to go? Because I know he left the game last week, and he was a preseason All-American running back. So, again, I'm with you. I think the offense is one of the bigger questions for Ohio State. But at the same time, this is one of those games where you can look back and look at the history, and you know who's going to be favored in this game. I think all of that goes out the window in games like this.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of Henderson, there he is on the field warming up.
Okay.
So it looks like he will be trying to give it a go in this game. And, the offense for me, at some point, I trust continuity. It's part of why I love C.J. Stroud this year so much. And continuity that C.J. seems, I've given Stetson Bennett a lot of credit for how comfortable he feels with Georgia. Sometimes we forget how comfortable C.J. Stroud looks right now. Just in an offense he knows, with an offensive coordinator he knows, with the coach that he knows, and a system that he knows. I mean, there is a spot here for Ohio State where certainly they struggled a little bit against Notre Dame. I don't think that's indicative of who Ohio State's going to be all year. And C.J. Stroud is playing at such an alarmingly incredible level right now. I think this game really falls down to I got one quarterback I trust and one I don't.
Yeah, you don't have Jackson Smith in Jigba, and this Ohio State offense went off like 700 yards last week against another cupcake. These teams are all playing cupcake games to start the season, but things are starting to heat up a little bit. And this Wisconsin defense, 246 total yards per game is what they're allowing, and 7 players have interceptions. So I think one of the biggest things in this game is going to be, as I mentioned, that defense versus Ohio State offense. And now you have a team that is stingy, that can create turnovers, that can get to the quarterback. And we saw how Ohio State struggled with Notre Dame. I think they were looking at that tape, and they're going to bring those things up.
A little note here from a couple of people, a couple of reporters, blue check marked, that cover the team, that apparently it's already gotten chippy on the field as Wisconsin decided, some of the Wisconsin players decided they were going to warm up on the Ohio State sideline because they frankly feel like it. Henderson seemed to have a bit of an issue with that, as did other players. So they are chippy before they've even started.
I don't have a problem with it. I think that's what makes these games great. Look, college football is so great for the passion from the fans, from the players, and all of that. So I think if you're able to, one, maybe get Ohio State thinking about something else other than the game plan, that'll help you. And two, why not just create a little bit of ruckus, right? I mean, look at this.
Let's go. And the fan bases are into it. I just want to give a shout out to one of my people, Matali Banda, my boy. He was like, Scoob, you've been showing a lot of hate to my Wisconsin Badgers. This is our week. I mean, this is our Super Bowl. He's pumped for this game. And Wisconsin, good luck. I still take Ohio State. When you talk about picking which team, I'll probably take the Wisconsin points. But I will go with Ohio State to win it.
I mean, I think that, so let's just go there for the quick and obvious. You have Ohio State, Scooby. Sam, who do you have?
I would take Ohio State.
Yeah, I would also take Ohio State. Let's add another layer to it, though, because right now, according to Caesars, the spread is 19. So Ohio State favored by 19. That, honestly, as they pull our picks up here, and we went way too fast, so the incredible people behind the scenes, Ohio State all the way across the board. The question then becomes, what will they cover? I mean, 19 points, I think, honestly, as much as I believe in Ohio State, I think that's a big number for a Wisconsin team that's going to try and grind the clock down and try and limit the number of possessions that Ohio State gets. I actually think, while 19 is a pretty decent number in this game, I think Wisconsin has a good shot at covering.
So that's why I said I'll take their points, especially with that defense. I think they'll find a way to slow this game down, as you brought up.
The most important thing you guys need to know is that you can authenticate if you're watching in the ESPN app, which means you can just hang out and watch us. You can watch the game. You can get to all of the college football you could ever want or need just by hanging out with us right here. That game kicks off at 7:30 a.m. No, that would be very early. 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Obviously, we will get you caught up on all the breaking developments as they continue. Now let's get back to the highlights from some of the action today, and that includes Maryland taking on Michigan. Opening kickoff. This is maybe a sign, Scooby, that things aren't going the way you want them to.
Oh! Oh!
I mean,
man.
Ty Felton felt like he should have got that one.
Did they not practice that this week?
So one play later, J.J. McCarthy says, I am the starting quarterback because I throw these. Touchdown.
On the run, looking good. Hey, Michigan's up. Fifth pump, Harbaugh.
Now we get close to halftime. A little bit of action. The look at Corum just find the hole. That's great vision by a running back. There was nothing there. Gets his way around for a 17-13 lead. We pick it up now. And JJ says, remember. That's a nice throw.
That was one of his best throws of the day because he missed a couple early on. Sam and I were talking about this that were just atrocious.
They were bad.
Look at the stat line, and don't look at what you usually look at. Look at the running back. 30 rushes, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns. If you want to know how Michigan intends to win football games this year, we've spent so much time talking about J.J. McCarthy. Guess what, y'all? It doesn't matter. When Blake Corum runs that way, Scooby, Michigan is virtually unbeatable.
Your running back had more rushing yards than you had passing, all right? Let's just set that aside right there, and that explains to you what this plan is for this Michigan offense. But we saw it last year. They're going to rely on the run. And when that run is working, that play action pass is working, then you also have this quarterback who is good with his legs. So the RPO is there, and it provides plenty of opportunities. And something that just happened in the Tennessee-Florida game.
I'm just going to break you off.
Yeah.
We've got side TVs in the studio. Florida scored a touchdown, then they kicked the onside kick, and amazingly, not only do they recover the onside kick, Florida advances the onside kick. They are in Neyland Stadium in this game that just a few minutes ago was wildly under control for Tennessee. And now all of a sudden with I believe it's a 5-point lead. It's a 5-point lead, 38-33, 16 seconds left, no timeouts either side. Florida keeps the ball with the opportunity to try and win this game. They were down, I think, 18 just a couple of minutes ago. This is wild. We'll keep you updated on it. I want to go back to what we were talking about if I can maintain my professionalism.
We're just fans. We're fans, too, at the end of the day.
Sam's the first time sitting here, and he's like, what are you I'm going full Kermit the Frog over here.
Well, but for those watching at home, and that play will be played on SportsCenter tonight, that's one of those plays that you capture, right, and put on a poster.
Yeah.
But yeah, for Michigan, how about Sam Reed's stats here? Blake Corum has 9 rushing touchdowns. He's averaging a touchdown nearly every 7 carries. 7 carries. He's averaging a touchdown.
What?
And the crazy thing, I mentioned it on the one highlight for his long run. His vision is what I think we really need to give him credit for, because this Michigan offensive line is nice. They're always nice. But Maryland came in putting up a fight, and Maryland was stacking the box with everything they possibly could and couldn't do a damn thing about Blake Corum being that good. I mean, Skubie, that speaks to Harbaugh understanding from the get-go. I think part of this conversation about a quarterback change was, hey, J.J. McCarthy's going to get time to get comfortable because we're not going to ask him to win a football game. We're going to let him just not lose a football game for us.
Yeah, and they always say the best way to get a quarterback comfortable is to have a strong rushing attack, and that is what they have. And J.J. McCarthy doesn't have to be that guy throwing for 300 yards every single game. As long as you got a strong rushing attack, they should be fine.
I want to give you a final score. MTSU has done it. They have beaten, and I mean beaten badly, Miami. We'll try and get you some highlights of that a little bit later. 45-31, wasn't that close. Florida also driving with the ball, 11 seconds left. We'll let you know how that goes. In the meantime, Central Michigan took on number 14, Penn State. The Chippewas. My Tim McGraw for you. All right, we all know this highlight's going to start with Sean Clifford the dog going back out. He's been in college for 33 years and still runs that play.
Oh, this is the best song for every highlight we've had. Oh, what is this?
Penn State up 14-0. Daniel Richardson here throws a 14-yard touchdown pass to Joel Wilson. The Chippewas tie it at 14. I'm going to keep doing that, Tim McGraw. All right. Katron Allen runs 14 yards here, goes into the end zone, says, we are going to win this game. 21-14. Sean Clifford likes to pad them stats, too. Late in the game, needed this. Flicks it up there. I'm not sure who's younger, Sean Clifford or the walk-on quarterback that we all saw as Eli Manning this week. All right, 33-14 is your final score. Clifford the dog, 22-34, 217, 3 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. Wish I'd have played him in our fantasy contest. This was a tight game for a minute, but Penn State seals the deal. Penn State goes out, plays the way they need to. Quickly, I will tell everybody, Tennessee just sealed the deal against Florida with an interception as time ran out. Tennessee has beaten Florida in Knoxville. We'll get you that later. First, Penn State. Scooby, we sleeping on them?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I believe so. I think Penn State is a team that has a great chance of being a playoff team. I brought this up last week on the wrap-up. When you look at their schedule, they have that Central Michigan this week. They got Northwestern, and then guess what's coming up? Them versus Michigan, a potential undefeated versus undefeated matchup. And when you talk about Penn State and what they've been able to do, their freshman running back, he's been great. Clifford, he's had consistency in the system. Now he's had the same offensive coordinator for back-to-back years, and that does wonders for a kid who's been with the team for 6 years. So to be able to have some continuity has shown that, Sam, this offense is finally starting to show more promise.
Yeah, I'm with you, Scoob, and Fitz. I think we're not talking about Penn State enough. It's not easy to go on the road and win, especially what they did last week. And then you do this at home against a Central Michigan team that had a really good running back, and Lou Nichols was really good off to a relatively slow start. But I don't think we're talking about Penn State enough. They do have a really tough stretch. I think they're going to be tested down the stretch of the season. There's no question about it. But they shuffled in and out quite a few players today, and I think they found a good core of players that they can use in some of those bigger games.
I think we're being reminded there James Franklin's still sort of massaging the dough to figure out what he has here. Franklin also doesn't get paid that much to finish 3rd or 4th in the Big Ten every year.
No doubt.
So let's see what happens there. Let's see what happened between Texas and Texas Tech. We picked this one up 4th and goal midway through the first quarter. Texas already up 7-0. Donovan Smith takes it to the house, asserts his dominance, ties it at 7 apiece. Now early in the second quarter, Taj Brook brings in a 17-yard touchdown pass, giving Texas Tech their first lead. Crowd fired up. They're up 14-10 at that point. We pick it up here. Xavier Worthy about to bring in a 39-yard reception.
That guy
They take the lead back. 17-14. Now, we're going to go to 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Red Raiders match the Longhorns again. You can see the score there, 31-24. Pretty little window. Finds him. Baylor Cup for a 19-yard shot. Game tied at 31 now.
Make the kick!
Bert Auburn, one of my favorite names.
Make the kick!
48-yarder.
Let's go, Bert!
Bert says, one up that, Ernie. Okay, his name isn't Ernie, but I needed it to be. Trey Wolf going for the chip shot here in overtime. And ladies and gentlemen, breaking news, Texas is not back. 37-34. All right. Texas falls.
Miami and Texas, both not back. Where does that mean you are, by the way? If you're not back, are you just there?
You're just
to get to the back.
Yeah.
That's where you need to go.
Texas Tech gets its first win against the top 25 Texas-based team anywhere in the state since 2008. And Sam, you made a really good point when we were hanging out watching this game. Like these are the moments, knowing that realignment is coming.
Yeah.
We don't like to focus a ton on it. We have football right now. But you have to appreciate some of these matchups more, because when Texas moves to the SEC, there's no assurance that we will get this game very often. Made it special.
It was special. It was Sark's first trip. And yeah, depending on how you look at it, if Texas decides that they're going to leave early, this may have been their last trip to Lubbock, pending any sort of crazy non-conference play. But this was your classic Texas shootout. I thought it was a great game.
Yeah, Texas Tech, what's up with them playing overtime games? Second overtime game that they've had this season, but they played really well against Texas. And I kind of feel for Texas because I don't know. I just wanted them to do well. Quinn Ewers getting hurt, and after that Alabama game, you just thought that Texas is back.
Yeah.
But like I said, they need to go to the back of the line. That's what they need to do.
They played a hell of a game considering Quinn Ewers, right? Texas has to feel good about where they will be when they get their quarterback back healthy. Speaking of healthy quarterbacks that absolutely kick ass, we saw one today in North Carolina. But how did it go against Notre Dame? Early in the first quarter, 4th and goal. Oh, look at that. 4th and goal. Drake May, Josh Downs. May, Downs come down with it.
Yeah, Josh Downs was one of the nation's top receivers last year, missed the last 2 games, and you can see what's having him back is doing for the team.
Oh, yeah.
Absolute difference maker. Now we got Drew Pine to Michael Mayer. Not Michael Myers, that's different. Not
Baby
quite
Gronk.
10-yard touchdown. May back to Downs here. You're right. The offense felt right today. UNC ties it at 14. The Notre Dame, Estime pushes it in for the touchdown. I just wanted to say that all day. Audric Estime.
There's one thing we know. North Carolina's defense loves to give up points.
About as consistently as they score, they give them up. I mean, maybe cover the guy. Pine to Logan Diggs.
There was some miscommunication before the play. The ball was snapped before the defender even had his head turned around. So they need to get some things figured out.
Notre Dame goes up 31-14. And look, the North Carolina, you see the final score there, 45-32. North Carolina defense was so bad that even Notre Dame's quarterbacks look capable. It's just a bad defensive effort.
It's one of the more baffling things, I think, North Carolina's offense versus North Carolina's defense. And even when we were doing prep for this, I was like, wait, North Carolina hasn't lost yet? Because you look at how many points they have given up so far this year. It's such a dichotomy, and hopefully they get it figured out. But yeah, the contrast between how good their offense is and really how bad their defense has been so far, they got to get at least the defense figured out or get it matched up.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see how they can ever get that worked out, if they can ever get that worked out, because that'll define the program. Our incredible crew behind the scenes has already gotten you highlights.
Let's go.
Florida, Tennessee turned out to be an incredible game, and we've got it here for you. We pick it up, Richardson dropping back. Look at the little move as he gets around, then flings the ball down the field. That is a hell of a throw.
And guess what? He sits him down. That's his first touchdown pass of the year, fellas.
Oh,
First
my
one.
God. That makes it 7-3 Gators. Now you pick it up, Hendon Hooker. Look at that little move as he wiggles around and says, I'm getting in the end zone now.
He played really well.
This game was back and forth the whole time. It's 10-7. Richardson says, all right, anything you can do, I can do better. Gets himself into the end zone there. We knew this was going to be points. I really like this throw by Hooker in the back of the end zone, and as he's rolling out with 7 seconds left, aggressive play call. They go for the touchdown. They go up 17-14. Pick it up 31-21. Nice little handoff there. Does the chomp on the checkerboards. 38-33 is your final in a game that saw Tennessee give up a couple of late scores and an onside kick and get an interception at the 5-yard line as time expired. The checkerboard in the end zone. I always shout out my buddy Jeremy Tharp, no longer with us. He had the checkerboard on his calf. This was a special one for Vols fans that look up and say, "Go Vols!" Big win for Tennessee.
I thought you made a great point, Fitz, too. When people are asking, like, wait, this is like a rivalry? That's so crazy to me because, yes, this, for the Florida fans and Tennessee fans, you look back, it was maybe decades ago, yeah, but this was it. This was the Michigan rivalry against Ohio State. Like, that's what these fans care about.
You saw it after the game. The celebration that the players had, it was almost as if they just had one of the biggest upsets of the entire year, with the way that they rushed the field. So clearly this game really does mean a lot to the fan base and the players.
When you think about recruiting even, how many kids this weekend, and we'll get the numbers at some point, how many prospects came into Neyland Stadium? They saw the checkerboard. They saw one of the largest crowds in college football. They heard Rocky Top 150 times, and they saw him turn around and beat Florida. Like, that is the sort of win that if you're Josh Heupel, the head coach of Tennessee, that's really selling at this point, a high-paced offense with a lot of energy. They're going to run a lot of plays. They're going to score a bunch of points on everybody. They did that today. And even though, as you see on the stat line, Richardson, 24, 44, 453, 2 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. He was really impactful in this game. This felt like a heavyweight fight.
Both
quarterbacks were in the ring for it, Scooby. And I'm here for what this means for Tennessee because they're ranked number 11. But frankly, I think they looked better today than a lot of the teams that we're talking about a ton.
Yeah, you got to watch out for this team because they have a quarterback who can do both. And that is what really solidifies a dangerous offense when you have a quarterback who can beat you with his leg and his arm. And this game was one of those games that you'll remember after the season as, wow, like this dude is him. His name and his nickname is now Himothy because he is H-I-M, him.
I think you got to remember for Henderson Hooker, his career was like almost over. Like at Virginia Tech, like he got benched. And then came and revitalized his career under this offense, under this coach. It just feels like the right fit, and it's just so good to see a guy. And you talk about a comeback story. I mean, down and out, and then you transfer. I think this is one of those conversations you can talk about. The transfer portal benefiting a player and really helping him and giving him a second chance, right, Scoop?
I love that point you make about the transfer portal because there's so many.
It gets a bad rap. Is what I'm saying, right?
Because before the thing about when there wasn't a transfer portal, let's say you're a good player, but there's just somebody else who is better in front of you. You got to stay at that school and you may never get an opportunity. But now the transfer portal has provided these opportunities for kids to go somewhere else and just create another opportunity because sometimes the system or the environment just isn't for you and you need a system that works for you, that is built for you. And we see that happen with Hooker. And quite frankly, you see that happening with Stetson Bennett in Georgia because I don't think he would be the same player with a different team.
Now, we're going to bring in a friend here. And it's important that we qualify that he's a friend of the show because this is a very painful conversation. And I don't know how he's going to handle it. Like, if somebody asked me to come on a show right after my beloved Raiders lost, I wouldn't be in a good mood. Spencer Hall joins us. Spencer, you are a Florida guy. We know that. And you just watched a very difficult ending. Give us your initial thoughts in a way that won't get any of us fired from Mickey Mouse.
I'll keep it FCC safe. And it's just this. I would prefer to talk about the positives. And the positives in this case, because I am player-centric, are exactly what Skubie said. Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker, a living testament to the power of positive thinking and the transfer portal, okay? Because look at it this way. Virginia Tech basically threw him away. They did not use him correctly. He was not particularly embraced by certain people on that coaching staff. So he went elsewhere and found someone who saw his gifts. Even this, by the way, remember Hendon Hooker, when he got to Tennessee, had to fight Joe Milton for that job. All he's done is earn his flowers. Give them to him. He was incredible. And the thing I love about Tennessee is they play a style of football that is, to me, inherently optimistic, right? At no point do they sweat 2nd and 16 because they're going to pick it up with the 20-yard gain. I know Florida gave them large chunks of yardage, but you have to understand those are mistakes. They're the kind of mistakes you make when you face an attack that is doing things like spreading you out, exerting pressure on the defense at every point, and in the hands of somebody who seems supremely confident beyond all reasonable doubt right now at the helm of that offense. So shouts out to both quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson played like I think everybody expected him to play all along. We had him going in the first round of the NFL draft after week 1. We had him going undrafted after week 2. And now he's back there. I think you need to remember that Florida fans, if you want to succumb to despair, remember this is where Tennessee was 2 years ago. Remember that this is where Kentucky was 5 or 6 years ago. It takes time to build a program. That's what they're doing. For Tennessee fans, embrace every bit of irrational optimism you want to right now, because you can hang with almost anyone in the country right now, strictly based on the pace that offense puts on and the pressure it puts on everyone.
Glass is half full. Right. Let's keep it positive. I love everything you said. So let's keep it positive with the traditions that these two teams have. Question. Which of the traditions do you enjoy more? Here in the script, we have it as which one is the worst one, but I'm going to keep it positive here. Which tradition is the best one? The Gator Chomp versus the Rocky Top. Feelings, what do you think?
I mean, I'm biased, so I should recuse myself from the question, but I'm also deeply unprofessional, so I will say the Gator Chomp is better. The thing I like that Tennessee does, by the way, is the checkerboarding. Nobody else really does that quite as well. Like orange and white as a checkerboard. Also, in other words, I'll cheat and give you an alternate answer. I'll say that I can't stand Rocky Top. It's not one of those things I secretly enjoy. Like it genuinely irritates me. There's nothing I could do about it because I got to play it a lot today. But the Chomp is simple. You can't screw it up. I adore it. I do love their checkerboarding though.
Yeah, the Rocky Top also you don't have to hear over. It's obnoxious. I'm with you on that. Real quick, I want to follow up on something you said. You said Tennessee can hang with anybody in the country. Can they hang with Georgia, truly?
Yeah, I think they can. And you know why? It's one-on-one matchups. That's it. Like we take something, if you can't get to the quarterback in 2 seconds, which Georgia won't be able to do every snap. We'll go look at their stats. Georgia does not get sacks. They are not a pressure defense. They are more of an anaconda that's going to keep everything in front of them and make good tackles. If you have point-for-point skilled players across the board and a quarterback who knows what they're doing, there will be points scored. If you go and look, I know they annihilated them last year, but Tennessee did move the ball in year 1 when they were really just sort of learning how to do this. So I think they're going to be able to move the ball in Georgia. What you really worry about on the other side is whether the suddenly unstoppable Georgia offense just had its one bad game today against Kent State, right? You know they're going to have a bad game, and you're worried that they did it against Kent State and not somebody like Tennessee or, I don't know, maybe Florida down the road. I don't think it'll matter with Florida, right? Florida's not there in terms of talent yet.
Spencer, I got to go down south a little bit to South Beach for you. I know you're a Florida guy.
Oh, please. Can we
talk a little bit about what just happened? Because simultaneously, while we were watching an excellent game between Tennessee and Florida, we were watching Middle Tennessee State take it to the Hurricane. And I mean, take it to the Canes.
Well, defensively, yes. Miami really couldn't get out of their own way on offense. And I mean that literally. If you see, there is one play where at the mesh point, there are 3 people and none of them know who's supposed to get the ball. So a lot of that was self-inflicted. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that Middle Tennessee ended up with something like 11 first downs and I think 5 scores off of those 11 first downs. So they didn't get many first downs, but when they did, they went for 90 yards. This is, I think, familiar to Oregon fans in that what you get with the Mario Cristobal model is excellent recruiting, and the on-field product tends to lag a little bit behind that for one reason or another. I think my own suspicions is that they're just very conservative at times offensively. But at the same time, it's a warning. Remember, the floor is always right there. Like I talked about this on TOL, Thinking Out Loud, 7 o'clock Eastern on the SEC Network. There's your plug. Talked about that anybody can get it, like at any time, because right now the distance between being kind of good and real good is vast, and it can be made up very quickly with the transfer portal and or your opponent having a really, really bad day.
All right, Spencer, real quick before we let you go live in your misery of the moment, with all the head coaching conversations, you're so plugged into college football. Is there one coach you think that is just destined to be moving to a huge program in the coming year?
Well, I think this is a pretty obvious answer, but if you have Kansas 4-0 and they are a top two, maybe the best in the nation offensively after this weekend, then it's very hard to not take the entire resume of Lance Leipold. Lance Leipold, who, by the way, at Wisconsin Whitewater won 6 D3 titles, at Buffalo got them to bowls and being competitive, and then is at Kansas and will get them to, let's say, 500. Like if they get Kansas to 500, that's the equivalent of getting any other team to 10 wins in their first year. That's really what we're talking about. So Lance Leipold is probably the name to look at as on the move. I know he's on Nebraska's list, but he is not that is not the only team that's interested in him.
Yeah, I'm just saying, we're going to get shirts made that's the Lance Leipold fan club around this show. Yep. Watch him. Yeah. As always, Spencer, you're brilliant, and we appreciate you making us smarter. If I could, I would give you a hug right now. I appreciate you hanging out with us, buddy.
Thank you, Spence.
And bring it in virtually. Thanks, y'all.
Bring it in virtually. All right. Now, let's get to some bra. You know what time it is. It's time for bra, delivered by Pizza Hut. Sam, this is where we get to have a little bit of fun because we get to watch natural athletes do things that I'm never capable of doing, yet still question the outcome.
Yeah, that makes two of us, by the way. Neither of us are capable of doing a lot of these things that we've seen today, so that's the best part about it.
That's what we get to do because we got the microphones. Let's start with the first play. And by the first play, I do mean the opening kickoff. Ty Felton takes the kickoff, but bruh.
Come on! Opening play? Did you stretch? Are you focused? Bruh.
That's when you know it's going to be a long day, by the way, right off the top.
Yeah, that's a big mess up at the big house. See what I did? I worked all day on that line. All right, let's go next to Matt Campbell, who, look, I get it. This is how I feel every Sunday when I'm watching my beloved Raiders at home. He's losing it on the sideline.
You know what he's saying? This is why I'm going to go to Nebraska. I'm tired of this going on at Iowa State. What are you doing?
It was an early kickoff, too. I'm wondering if the hangry factor plays into any of this as well. Like, did we get something to eat before the game?
I love the concept of a ref just pulling a donut out and being like, relax, man, eat a donut. It'll make you feel better. Let's go to the next play on the bra list. And now we got some SMU love here. Ball bounces off. Got it, don't got it, don't got it. Bruh. Ref, what are we doing there, ref?
Get out of the way.
I mean, that's when you have to watch again because you're just like, wait a second. Did that just happen?
Did the ref make a bet on the game?
Sneaky quick feet by the ref on the first time, though. It's like looked like he got out of the way nice there. All right, we got another one here. Not once, but twice.
Is this
Missouri.
the thicker kicker?
Yeah, it's the thicker kicker, but he wasn't Bounty there because he wasn't the thicker kicker upper. He was the downer instead as he misses the first. And you think, you know what, that's okay. We're going to go to overtime. Well, Auburn kicks the field goal in overtime, and then
they're going to win.
Nope.
Got to take it with you.
Not today.
This is how you know the football gods did everything they could to have Missouri lose this game. Someone has a job for another week.
Yeah, well, and we got one more for you here. We're going to go to a little bit of Louisville, South Florida. I mean, what are you doing?
Sam, I know you've done some soccer before. Was that a good kick?
No, that was as bad as it could possibly have gotten.
I love the done some soccer. Sam, you've done some soccer.
I have.
What is it played or was it
both?
Okay, all right.
And I've never seen anything as bad as that.
All right, we're going to get you caught up on some of the action going on right now. In just a minute, you'll get to Arkansas and Texas A&M. We will also quickly let you know that Oregon, with a great pick six, goes from trailing to now suddenly they're up by 10 over Washington State. So, it looks like the time is running out on the clock. That was hard for me to say. And Oregon went from down to suddenly up, which one of our guys, Quentin, actually earlier predicted. He said that Oregon would win and would cover. So right now, Oregon's up by 10.
I did not see this coming. I thought Bo Picks was going to throw Bo Picks. But
he still tried. I mean, he still tried. There's no.
But to see them get this win on the road is really impressive because we know how he is on the road. He's not the same player as he is at home.
How does this change the outlook on Oregon, too? I know we got to get to the live look-in, but, I mean, this could change things when you only look at that lone loss for them and their schedule coming up. I don't know.
That's such a great point.
Loss, right?
That's such a great point.
I think it was dumb that we all gave up on Oregon so quickly.
I'm with you.
Like, for me, the Georgia game was more about just how great Georgia is, and Oregon's going to prove that. Now, we'll get you to Arkansas A&M in a minute. Arkansas is up 14-0 at the end of the first. So we don't have anything to show you right now because, frankly, they're in commercial. So why am I going to send you over to a commercial? But realistically, 14-0 for Arkansas over A&M. And let me say this for what I feel is the 10th straight week. A&M doesn't have a head football recruiter. They have a head football coach. So at some point, you can have all these great recruiting classes, but Jimbo needs to win some football games. And 2-1 for A&M was already disappointing, but they are getting beat right now, just flat out. Arkansas up 14-0, and we'll see Arkansas up 14-0 and with the ball as the second quarter is about to start. So this is an abject disaster at this point for A&M.
Yeah, and one of the questions is Jimbo going to end up giving up the play calling? What is going to happen with what they're doing on offense? And I remember reading an article that talked about how much of the play calling responsibility takes away from the coach and the game management that he has to do during the game. So it's not something like, oh, this dude is calling terrible plays. The game isn't being managed that well. They're not being as aggressive. They're not going for all the gold, if you would say so, with the way that they're playing. So we'll see what happens. It's still early in the game, but this is disappointing to see from Texas A&M with all the standards that they have as a team.
Before we get you to that game, we want to show you the biggest upset of the day, and that comes in the form of number 25 taking on Middle Tennessee State, MTSU. Chase Cunningham about to find Elijah Metcalf for a 69-yard touchdown. Nice.
It was big play after big play.
They were airing it out.
Play.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it here. 31-17, Miami going for it on 4th and goal. Jake Garcia's pass falls incomplete. They turn it over on downs. I want to stress again Jake Garcia's pass because Van Dyke got himself pulled in this game. And then you see, look at this one. I mean, 98 yards.
They're playing Madden on rookie mode.
That's what it looks like. 98-yard touchdown. And to the point, guys, that Spencer made earlier, MTSU didn't get a lot of first downs. They didn't need them. They were playing absolute video game football.
Hold up. Do you see DJ English's stats? 2 catches, 169 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I don't think there's a better stat line than that. The guy was a home run. Middle Tennessee was averaging over 17 yards per pass play. They only had about 10, 11 first downs in this game compared to Miami's 23 first downs. So the amount of execution, the things that they got from their execution was huge. Chunk plays after chunk plays after chunk play.
But Sam, like you said earlier, Van Dyke wasn't good enough. 16 to 32, 149, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. I mean, he was bad.
When we were watching that game, I even said, I'm like, they have to go to a different quarterback, right? I mean, because it's not working. Like you got to make a change at some point. But just talking about this program, this Miami program, with all of the hype that Coach Cristobal comes and we see he's giving a press conference right now, and I can't imagine that that's a pleasant press conference to be giving. Man, South Beach is in trouble right now.
Yeah, it felt like 7 people in that stadium anyway. Like, I'm exaggerating. Google it. I'll find how many people. Like, no crowd, no momentum, and they just got their asses kicked. Like, there's no nice way to see it. All right. Let's check out what's going on in the college football Twitter sphere, I should say. I'll try all that again. Let's find out what's going on in the college football Twitter sphere with our tweets of the day, presented by AT&T 5G Total Pro. We start with the ACC network, putting up a tweet here for us in reference to Malik Cunningham. Now, Malik Cunningham, particularly fast, and the tweet of the day that came from the ACC network said, look back at them. And,
Look back at it. Like Usain Bolt. If we can pull up the tweet.
Yeah, we're getting it up here. It's just taking a second.
Momentarily.
Technology is it's the tweet of the day. Like, we got to make sure that it can see all the glory it possibly can get. Anybody got a good joke?
There it is.
There we go. Look at that.
It is.
Look at that. Look back at them.
All right, but real quick about Louisville, since we're on them. Are they better than what we expected? Because I remember when they first came out of the gate losing to Syracuse, everyone was like, oh, Louisville's bad this year. But come to find out, 4 weeks later, Syracuse is 4-0, and that loss for Louisville doesn't look as bad.
I think the question with Louisville has always kind of been like, do we have the cohesive unit? But this is great here.
Yeah.
This is great.
Look at this. We got Aranda just smack look. That's what I do to Skubie after every show if it's a good one. Which is why they constantly send me to HR. I don't know what we're doing here. Someone tell Dave Aranda that may leave a mark. Is that too aggressive?
Here's the thing about Dave Aranda that's so awesome is he's usually not that type of person, but he showed some enthusiasm.
RJ Young got in on the fun after Kansas saying, rank Kansas, you cowards. Not wrong. It's time to make it happen.
4-0. It's about time.
Oh.
Now, overtime tweets here. Maybe don't tailgate with the hurricane coming? I mean.
Yeah, well, that's how much this country loves football. We will literally tailgate in a hurricane.
Yeah, that hurricane was better than the actual hurricanes today, that's for sure. Oh, it's in poor taste. TCU versus SMU. The play clock just overheated. How is that not properly weatherized against excessive heat in Dallas, of all places? You know what, Brian? I don't know. Like, why does my iPhone always do that?
I was just going to say that.
Half the time, it's like it has exceeded its heat. So I don't know. It seems like that's a pretty good indication that it was as hot as you know what down there.
But that's a problem. Like, we need the play clock. What are we going to do if we don't have a play clock?
It's modern college football. Everybody's just moving.
I guess.
We're playing with pace here. Like, what is the ref going to be out there now with like a little stopwatch on his phone? That's amazing to me.
What they actually do is the ref will indicate when there's 10 seconds left, and they'll tell him it's happened in a game that I've played before. He'll just raise his hand when it gets to 10 seconds. There's an old school way of doing it.
Look at that. Skubie just dropped, Skubie humble bragging that knowledge out of there, too. He's like, you know, and I played. That's what they did. So right now we got 44-41. Oregon is up on Washington State with seconds to left to go. And we'll get you this live look into what we have now. Number 3, Ohio State is up 7-0 over Wisconsin. Wisconsin with the ball.
Oh, Grant Mertz. That looked like.
Oh man.
I don't know if that was an option route by the wide receiver. It looked like Mertz was expecting him to come inside rather than taking the outside break on his route. Because usually they have receivers make that choice on option routes. And communication, I brought it up. I said, Grant Mertz, is he going to be able to play well, look like himself that we saw last year where he's throwing picks? And it was.
Yeah, I think you make an interesting point. By the way, when a wide receiver defends the...
you see that right here at this point, he's supposed to make the decision of going in or out.
Yep. Yep, and he's jumping up the minute it leaves his hand because the receiver went where he didn't think he was going to go. That's a really good observation. And anytime a wide receiver like Skubie is actually throwing a quarterback a bone for like, hey, it may not be the quarterback's fault, then you know it must not be the quarterback's fault. But this is worst case scenario, guys, right? Because if you're Ohio State and you jump out on this thing 14-0 in the first 5-6 minutes, it's going to get out of control.
We all took Ohio State in this game. This can get out of control really, really quickly. We also took the points in this game, which could also get out of control pretty quickly.
Well, and that goes back to something that A.J. McCarron has talked to us about. Like, he talked about the first time they played in the swamp and how the noise was deafening. And the key was you had to get some points early on to silence the crowd. I mean, you're at the horseshoe. Like, that is going to get just incredibly loud and passionate, and it's going to make it tougher for Wisconsin to communicate. Like, this is all worst case scenario early on in the game. You got to hold them to a field goal attempt somehow.
I think this is another important point here as we see Wisconsin on defense now.
What a play design. Oh my goodness.
Wow. And what an effort.
Wow.
What an effort to get into the end zone.
But this is my point here. We talk about communication. Playing on the road, that's not solely for offense. It's for defense too. And if you can't hear defensively what the play is, how are you going to run the play? It's not just offense that is difficult to play on the road. It's defense as well.
Well, and I also think it's important to remind people, We overreacted as a general society to the opening week loss for Ohio State, what it meant for their offense. They have so many guys that can beat you so many different ways from so many different formations. If you're a defensive back, you've got a lot of decisions you've got to make quickly in these games. It's tough.
And that's the thing about playing at such a high level against a high-level team. You have to make your decisions really fast. And that was just a great play design. I know you saw it drawn up. It was just a complete misdirection. You have everybody going to the left, and then the defense fell for it, and you send one guy out to the right. And it takes some arm power that you saw from C.J. Stroud to be able to go roll out to the opposite direction and throw the ball back there. That is great play calling, great game script. I always talk about offensive coordinators having to earn their money in short yardage situations, such as the red zone or on the goal line. And you have to be creative with your play calling. And that right there was clear and evident of that.
We have a great team behind the scenes that's creative every single week that makes this show happen. Luna, Zach, Julius, Quentin, Gabby, we appreciate all of you guys. Sam Ravech coming in, MVP effort.
Thanks for letting me crash the party, guys. I feel great. Yeah, sweating a little bit.
Killed it.
Look, we're going to be back with you at 11 o'clock tonight for the wrap-up. Don't want to miss that. But in the meantime, for Skubie Mageza, for Sam Ravech, I'm Jason Fitz. This has been the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. Come back every single Saturday for us.